Today, we're going to talk about some of what I feel are humanity's biggest evolution points at this time. Beginning to experience ourselves even more as individuals within a collective, not giving ourselves up and giving away everything for the collective, for the community, but rather coming back into ourselves first to then therefore be able to contribute to the community, to the whole, to the collective on this whole other level that is just so much more heart-centered, so much more authentic, so much more real, and so much more anchored in love rather than fear of being rejected from the group for not fitting in, but rather being more of who we really are, who we truly are, and then fitting in our uniqueness. Ways we can find our unique place within the group, ways we can truly express our souls, express what it is that we're truly and uniquely good at, what it is we truly have to offer, rather than being herded or led into ways that others want us to offer something. Really coming into what uniquely fits us. And so we're talking about our contribution to the world, thinking about that pyramid of needs, like my Maslow's hierarchy of needs, coming into this place where we can really start to recognize that some of our base needs are met, and we're at a time in humanity's evolution where we can start to really evolve enough in terms of even our emotional intelligence now to get to this place where we can actually become self-actualized, actually start to give back and offer the world something that is just like this whole other level of us, and then therefore create and ripple out and create into this create a whole new world, really, because we're all creating from a totally different energy and a totally different space. So it's a really, really exciting time. It's challenging in some ways, but at the same time, it's extremely exciting. And so we need to come back into recognizing, first of all, that, the individual's needs matter. Yes, it doesn't mean that we become so individualized that we forget everything else and we just become very egocentric, but recognizing that our individual needs do matter and taking care of ourselves first, and then being able to, again, come back and contribute to the collective in a way that is truly beautiful and sacred. We need to recognize that, but also recognize the importance of being able to slow down, heal, come back to these things that matter most, to then go in and create it. So how do we do that? I've got 3 steps that I've experienced myself through allowing myself to express from the heart. The first one is to feel and express the truest version of yourself fully. And when we just say it like that, it's like, yeah, okay, but how do I do that? What does that mean? What is the truest version of myself? How do I feel it? How do I express it? So what I would say is the ways that I've come into knowing that for myself is just this feeling of removing a mask, taking off a mask of, trying to please others, knowing what others require of you, expect of you, and living up to that, and therefore forgetting yourself, but really coming into this place where you're not filtering yourself anymore. You're being completely raw and real and vulnerable in a lot of cases, and you're allowing yourself to take up space. And when I'm saying vulnerable, that doesn't mean just showing up and crying in front of everybody all the time or something like that, but it's having this courage to be stepping up in a way that feels vulnerable to you, and that's going to look a little bit different to everybody. And it's in whatever area that feels vulnerable and scary to you. Maybe it's crying, maybe it's expressing or showing sadness when that's appropriate, or maybe it's actually just sharing something that you actually think, something like an opinion that you have, something that you value, something that matters to you, but that that maybe the people around you or the person that you're talking to doesn't value and is going to not understand. And so it feels vulnerable for you to say that, to share that, to reflect how important it is to you. It's taking up space in these ways. If you can't express it to the people directly around you, it's about finding outlets for that. So if it's not the people around you right now, it's like creating a YouTube channel, it's creating a blog, it's like finding some kind of outlet, some kind of space for you to be able to take up space as your truest self, even if you can't do that with the people around you or the groups or your family or whatever. Have like some kind of creative outlet or some kind of space for you to start at least showing up and taking up space and like creating that for yourself, because it's going to allow you at least to practice being who you truly are, so then you can keep doing that with other people and then eventually start to like find the people who are going to get it more easily, because you're showing up as yourself more and therefore bringing in those people more often, because you're repelling the people who don't want to, who don't necessarily have the same values as you. But not to say that you can't hang out with people who have different ideas than you. You might feel really comfortable, being able to be in a space where you can really fully express yourself authentically. And if you're around people who are uncomfortable with that and make you feel like you have to shove yourself in a box somehow, then at least you can find other people who, maybe have different opinions but are open to your uniqueness. Or again, find places where it's like it is really truly and safe to be your full total self and somebody that like thinks similarly or gets you, right? Because the world right now is extremely divided and we're trying to like divide people even more and put people into specific boxes and categories. This just is even more difficult, because more difficult than I think than it ever has been, just because of all of that like purposeful division being sown. And so it's very interesting to find the people who are prepared to be multidimensional and who are prepared to accept the multidimensionality in others and come together in that. So that's where we go into that other step of like expressing with others, where you have come into this place where if you feel like you haven't been fully expressing all of the truest parts of yourself, like you've been holding back in some way, or people have told you that they feel you holding back in some way, or you're feeling like there's more that can be expressed from you, but you don't know what it is you want to say or how to express it, or you're feeling like you can't express it for some reason, maybe because you're not around the right people, or maybe because you don't know how to take up that place, that space. That's where we come into this space where whatever like outlets you've started to create, you either bring those creations out into the world and start really expressing with others and sharing with others, or you start practicing expressing, having heart-to-heart conversations with people where, the guards are put down. You're not just talking about the everyday mundane stuff, but getting into the vulnerable spaces, talking about like fear, love, desires, also truly listening to create that connection as well. That's part of the result of all of this, is coming back into true harmony with yourself, with others, with something greater, and with nature itself. And that is what it's all about when you're coming back into truest soul expression of yourself. It's this connection that we can feel. And so that requires us to be able to practice listening as well, listening truly, nonviolent communication, learning how to do that, making sure that everyone's needs are getting met, but not forgetting yourself in that process. This is how you can begin to feel truly fulfilled socially, because so many of us are experiencing levels of loneliness, not feeling like we belong anywhere, just this disconnection, right? So the first steps into the reconnection is like already reconnecting to ourselves so we can more properly reconnect to others. And then this is where we can start to come into finding that contribution, finding our way to keep taking up this unique place for our soul expression. And we just like have to keep testing until we find it, keep listening when it's not working for us, when something's not feeling right, and continuously practicing to express, come back in, go back out into the world, test it again, come back into like expressing with yourself and feeling what's right for you. And it might change according to different seasons of your life, according to the different things that you're feeling like you're needing to work on at the time. But this is also part of us knowing our truest soul expression and our truest essence, because we get to come into this place where we can recognize that we can contribute and also not identify with the identity that we're taking on through our place in the world or through our contribution. So, knowing that we are not these labels, knowing that we are not just mother, we are not just wife, we are not just daughter, we are not just doctor, I don't know, whatever like label that you have, knowing that you are more than that your soul expression is more than that, and that perhaps in your life you're going to be called to take on different identities, different roles, and that you might have to let them go at some points and go on to something else. And so that's part of like recognizing that the contribution to the world can shift and evolve, and we can let go and move on to the next phase. And that's like part of the beauty and the multidimensionality of ourselves and of our lives as well. So we just keep creating, we keep expanding, we keep stretching beyond our limits and our beliefs and our comfort zone. And we have to not give up, because there are times where it's literally going to feel like you're dying, because parts of you are dying. And those are parts of you that served you for a certain time, serving you in a specific identity or role that you're taking on to get a certain job done. And it's time to move on to the next thing in your life. And so you need to let like that vision or that role die and move into the next one for yourself, and keep expressing and knowing even more parts of yourself, of your true essence, of your soul. And that's the gift of the time that we live in now, because we're not necessarily fixed to a place or a job like we used to be in previous generations, right? So we have this ability to live many lives within one lifetime compared to previous generations. And that is a major gift that we have, and also a major challenge, but it also allows us, again, to know this unique version of ourselves on like whole other levels, to know what we're really made of, and to know that we can keep surprising ourselves. So, as challenging as it can feel at times, it's just also a reminder to not give up, that we're paving the way for the future, for a new way of being that's going to encompass more of this for the future generations to come. And we're the trailblazers for that new way of living, that allows more of our true unique selves to come forward, and to our true hearts and souls to truly be expressed. And sometimes it's hard to be a bridge between the two worlds, or like an old world and a new world, or a new old way of being and a new way of doing things. So that's why our daily habits are really important. But we can do it. And it's about having this remembering that we're on a path to connecting to ourselves on a whole new level, being able to connect to others on a whole new level, and being able to connect to life on a whole new level, truly feeling so deeply through this new profound emotional intelligence that we are evolving into as a human species now. And therefore being able to like feel on a whole other level, that's going to allow us to create and contribute on a whole other level. So again, very exciting times. Hope that this video and this message served you. Let me know if it resonated, if it spoke to you, if it sparked any other ideas or things that you'd like to talk about or share about. I'd be happy to hear what's coming out on your end. So thanks for sharing. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in another video.